Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Deciding to Soar, Living Life Your Own Way. It's Sharon Jameson, and I am so grateful that you are here with me again today. I know I tell you this every episode, but I am extremely grateful for your time, your energy, and your presence. And I'm so grateful that you are listening to this episode today. So, welcome and thank you. Well, as many of you know, I have been on a healing journey for now the last 10 months. And during that time, I really had an opportunity to reflect on friendships because it's something about being vulnerable when you can't not do things for yourself that makes you really sit back and say, why do I trust the people around me to help me? What makes these people who know what's going on, people who are supporting me and loving me and helping me, why did I feel so confident to share with them? And it reminded me of a framework, because you know I love frameworks, that I made around 20 years ago to help me identify people who would be good friends and good partners and good connectors. Because there was a time in my life where I kept choosing the wrong people to be in my life. I think I was choosing the flash and the superficial and the shallow because I had not deepened an understanding of what I needed, and I had not healed in such a way that I made choices that honor the fullness of me. But what I wanted to do is dust off this framework because it has guided me on this journey. And I'm so glad I had this framework because I felt totally protected as I had to gain strength and was at the hospital and all the things that happens when you have a crisis in your life. So I want to share this with you. It's called the CIA framework, and that stands for courage, integrity, and authenticity. Because to me, CIA is really an indication or a framework that helps me understand or identify people who are most whole. Because to me, it's a spiritual marker of wholeness. Because all those three traits not only reveal that a person is committed to their wholeness, but it also reveals that they are committed to healing. And people who are committed to healing, people who are committed to wholeness, are the people that, for me, are easiest to trust. They're the easiest type of people to grow with. And so what I want to do is share this framework with you, because even if you're not going through a health crisis or an emotional crisis or a relationship crisis, if you are a leader, a visionary, or just a person who wants to be a good citizen, a good parent, a good spouse, the CIA might help you rethink or confirm some of the people who are currently in your life, but also help you reflect on if the people who are closest to you are providing you what you really need the most. So let's kind of break down the CIA system, our framework. The first trait I mentioned is that I look for people who have courage, because people who are courageous are brave truth tellers. They are soul defenders, right? Because a courageous person will tell you the truth, not only about yourself, but about themselves. And they have a way of telling you the truth with being direct, but being kind and compassionate and empathetic. And they don't try to water messages down or water feedback down so that it has no value. Because doesn't that happen a lot? People give you feedback, and by the time they water it down, you don't even know what they're talking about. A courageous person will tell you the truth. And so when I think about people in my life, I always ask myself, are they willing to tell me the truth? But also, are they willing to tell themselves the truth? And are they living their own truth? Because again, I look for people and traits that not only the traits that I want them to have with me, I ask myself, do I see those traits in their own lives? So courageous people tell the truth. Second thing courageous people do is stand beside you in battle. I don't care if it's an emotional battle, a physical battle, a financial battle, a public battle. They stand by you in the dark and not just when it's convenient. I remember a couple of years ago, a person who I thought was my friend, she came to say, well, Sharon, these people were talking about you. And I said, okay. Then I said, well, thank you for telling me what they said, but what did you say? Because what I wanted to find out is that when my reputation was in battle, because somebody was undermining my reputation, they were creating a narrative that did not support who I was, what did they do? And so I look around in my life and I only want people in my life who will stand beside me in a battle. And over these last 10 months, there have been people who have been standing by me as I fight this. It started as a physical battle, but then, of course, it becomes an emotional and spiritual battle. So do your friends stand beside you in a battle? Can you depend on them when it's not convenient, when it's risky, and when not only when you are scared, but if they're scared? Those are the types of people in my life. The third way I look at courage is I want people in my life who encourage me to take paths that honor my soul, even if the path costs me some connection with money, connection with other friendships, connection with the status quo. Because I think it's something special when you have people in your life that it encourage you to follow your purpose, and they understand that following your vision is more important than their validation. And so I want to encourage you, as I'm continuing to encourage myself, to find people who understand that I will always honor my path and have my own pace, and I honor their path and their own pace. But I also want people to push me so I don't become complacent, that I don't become regressive in my own life, in my own pursuits, and that I don't become stagnant. And you need those people in your life. So think about the people in your life and ask yourself, who do you have in your life who can tell you the truth, who can stand beside you in the midst of a battle or a storm, and always encourages you to take the path that honors your soul. So those are 3 ways I look at courage. And maybe those 3 ways will help you as you are evaluating your leadership, your family members, your networks, etc. The second trait that I look for in the CIA paradigm that really helps me determine who should be in my life is integrity. Because people who have integrity are promise keepers, one, but they also are boundary honorers. And being a boundary honorer and a promise keeper is really important to me. And so when I look at people who I want in my life or who should be held closely in my life, I always ask myself, are they living consistently? Another way of saying it, does their talk follow their walk? Because I want to make sure that not only what they do matches what they say, but also I want to see if that matches their choices politically, emotionally, spiritually. So I always ask myself, does the person live consistently? I also ask myself about boundaries because, as I mentioned, a person with integrity is a boundary honorer. And boundaries are important because boundaries keep the relationship safe and respectful and dignity affirming. It makes them not only respect you, but also helps you respect yourself. And I think sometimes we start to blur boundaries in friendships and in connections. And then we start to feel resentful. We start to feel that people are stepping in parts of our lives uninvited or unwelcome. So I think it's really important that I honor my boundaries, but honor their boundaries. And so look for people in your life who honor boundaries. And you will know that because when you set one, if they honor it, it's great. But if you set a boundary and they get mad, they get frustrated, they try to make you feel guilty that you're trying to put a gate up to guard your own well-being, that's something to consider and to evaluate. The third way I look at integrity is, are they trustworthy? Confidentiality is so important to me. And I didn't realize how important it was until I felt extremely vulnerable when I was sick. And being trustworthy means, can I count on them, especially when no one's watching? Being trustworthy to me is a character issue. And trustworthy is assigned with respect and honor. And so I want you to think about your own life and to ask yourself, do you have people in your life who are able to keep their promises, to honor your boundaries? Are they living consistently? Are they trustworthy? Because people who live their lives with integrity, they don't manipulate the relationship. They maintain the relationship because they protect your peace, because they protect and honor their promises. And so think about people in your life and really assess how they are showing up and how they are modeling or exemplifying integrity, not only in the relationship with you, but in the relationship with others and in the relationship as how they navigate and move in the world. The third thing I want to say is that when I look for the trait, another trait is authenticity, CIA authenticity. Because people who are authentic are courageous enough and have integrity enough to show me who they really are. They are real. They take off their mask. They take off their public personas. They take off their public robes, and they really own who they are. And what I love about an authentic person is that they will absolutely refuse to perform for people, to conform for people, because they understand it's better to be hated for who they are than to be loved for who they are not. Authentic people, secondly, they own their stories, meaning that they own their mistakes and their mishaps without shame, but they also own their successes without guilt. Because honestly, sometimes we want people to own their mistakes, but we don't want them to own their success. And so I want people who are authentic, who own their mistakes, own their success, honor their growth, honor their deficiencies, honor their superpowers. Because if they can do that for themselves, it makes me feel more comfortable and confident that they can do that with me. And then the last thing I think is important is that people who are authentic, they invite you to be yourself. And when you can be yourself, not only are you safe, but the relationship feels like a container that's safe, that it is non-performative, is non-competitive. And I think that is so important, especially in a society filled with chaos. We need to have some forms of sanctuary in our lives to make us feel whole, to make us feel grounded. So I want you to think about how the CIA framework can work in your life and how it can help not only detect wholeness in others, but also help you detect some growth opportunities for yourself, because wholeness is not a destination. Wholeness is a journey that goes up and down based on the other variables and factors in our lives. So again, CIA, C stands for courage. Courageous people are the ones who tell you the truth about themselves and the truth about you with love and in love. They stand beside you in the storm. They push you to take the path that serves your soul. 2, integrity. People who live out a life of integrity. They align their words with their actions. They respect your boundaries and they create boundaries of their own. They are consistent, even in conflict. That's what I look for. Are you consistent when it's not convenient and when it's not popular? And then authentic people are people who refuse to pretend or perform or to people please. They own their stories, their stars, as well as their scars, their flaws, as well as their fulfillment areas. And they make you feel safe to do the same. So I want you to think about your own life this week and think about, are you spending your time with the right people? Are you spending your time with people who can continue to hold you so that you continue to grow in your own desire to feel whole? And I want you to leave you with this thought. Remember, you don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So how are you exemplifying those qualities in your life? So that if you don't have those people right now that are courageous and filled with integrity and authenticity, how can you live in such a way that you are living your truth, that people are drawn to you because of CIA? Remember, connection is not about charisma, and it's not about finding perfect people, because there are no perfect people. But it is about finding relationships that are based and led with truth, with trust, and transparency, so that you can dare to soar higher and be that all that you have been called to be, and never settle for what society has taught and told you to be. So do me a favor. Let me know how this message resonates with you. Send me an email at sharonjameson.com. And throughout the week, reflect on the CIA, because when you do, it will help you be a better friend, a better partner, a better spouse, a better leader, a better visionary, and just an overall better person. So again, thanks so much for listening. Please share this message with someone that you feel might benefit from reevaluating their friendships. And if this message, this episode spoke to your heart, please subscribe. Please leave me a review, because everything that you do helps me grow this platform and grow Deciding to Soar, living life our own way, so that we all have more information, more support to be our highest, our healthiest, and our most whole selves. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Blessings.